Welcome to the Independent Surfer. To start off, I'd just like to say thank you to all of you who have sent so many nice comments and messages about the previous videos that we've been doing. It's really heartwarming and honestly one of the biggest reasons why I'm continuing to do this. So a huge thank you to all of you who have messaged and written comments about the videos that I've put up on the channel, and yeah, it's because of you that we're going to continue to do these videos. This is going to be the beginning of a series of beginner related topics for surfing, as we just released our online surf course and it's specifically for beginners. There's a free version of that if you'd like to try that on our website, and then depending on how you go with that, you can choose to make a purchase or not. It's up to you. But yeah, so to all those intermediate and advanced surfers that we've been doing these videos for previously, don't worry, because we were definitely going to be doing those topics as well, but this is just the start of a video that's more focused towards beginner surfers. And the first topic that we're going to start on with this course is, an introduction to surfing and the mental and physical aspects that you might have to deal with when it comes to surfing, because I feel like this is a huge topic that's really not spoken about, and people often overlook the mental challenges and physical challenges that come with surfing, because there's a huge amount. It's fun to do and it requires a lot of you physically, but there's not much information about how to deal with those things. So we're going to cover a few topics and hopefully you can gain some info from this. And yeah, so let's get into it. If I start on the physical aspects of surfing, it's quite an intense sport. We as humans, we're bipedal, we walk a lot, and when it comes to surfing, you're pretty much lying on your stomach and you're paddling the whole time. So it takes a lot out of you physically, especially in the beginning. And it's really, really important to make sure that if you have a lot of free time on your hands and you're able to go out and surf a lot, that you take regular breaks, and also that you pay attention to flexibility and warming up before you go. So just to touch on a few of those things, taking breaks, you're never going to progress if you don't allow your body to build neurological pathways so that your body can remember and learn how to do specific movements related to surfing. And two, if you never rest and recover, then what's going to happen is you're going to overwork your body, which results in overuse. And then that eventually results in injury. So it's one of the most common causes of injury in sport. So it's really, really important to make sure that you're not overdoing it and over pushing yourself, so that you have enough energy for longevity. Surfing is all about consistency, just as everything else. It's not about trying to get it all done in one session, but over multiple sessions, you're going to start to progress, and that progression can become exponential if you look after yourself. But if you don't and you're constantly plagued by injury, then obviously it's going to be really difficult for you to keep up that consistency. Again, it's really important to take regular breaks while surfing. Another really important thing to do physically is to stretch or to warm up before and after surfing. So we highly recommend taking 15 to 20 minutes before you go and surf to just do a slight warm up. People often make fun of other people doing this on the beach, and it's like really ridiculous, because in every other sport that you do, it requires a warm-up. And for some reason, surfing is overlooked in this instance, and I really encourage you, don't feel, don't feel socially pressured out of doing it, because again, it's really going to help with your longevity when it comes to surfing. So warm-ups are super, super important. Then stretching before and or after surfing. As you use your muscles and your body and stuff, you can create a lot of tightness in the body, and surfing is a sport that really requires a good balance between strength and flexibility. If you're not helping yourself stay flexible by stretching, it doesn't matter what kind of stretching you do, whether it's static or dynamic or you're doing yoga, it really doesn't matter. It's just important that you make sure you stretch the body, because you need to increase your flexibility for surfing. So as I said, surfing really requires a good balance between flexibility and strength. Because you're going to be using muscles that you've never really used before, it could be a good idea to take up some extra training, because this will help you work muscles that also aren't worked while surfing. So like, yeah, you're going to use more muscles and new muscles, but there's also going to be a lot of muscles in your body that you're not going to be using. Because for example, like when you go and surf, you're going to be paddling around a lot, and that's going to be using a lot of upper body strength. Especially when you start out, most of your surfing career is going to be paddling, and I would say like 95 to 98% of the time, you're just going to be paddling. And then like 2% of the time, you're going to be standing up on the board and having 1% of the time of a chance to pop up on the surfboard. So it's important to make sure that you are doing what's called cross training. So this is basically taking up another sport or doing other exercises to exercise parts of the body that you're not exercising while surfing. Another tip for the physical side of surfing is a lot of movements in surfing can be practiced at home to build it into the body, to create muscle memory, to create repetition, so that when you go out into the surf, you're kind of doing it on a whim. You're doing it without having to think about what you need to do. So for example, like whether it's the pop-up technique, whether it's paddling technique or catching waves, the movement of turning the board and stuff like that, you can practice all of these things at home, so that when you go into the water, you don't have to use all of your focus and energy thinking about these things. You can kind of like look for the next step, or learn to read waves, or learn to handle your board, etc. So it's really important that you do things like pop-up specifically at home, and also practicing movements like bottom turn or top turn or whatever you want to do at home, so that you're able to get in this repetition, so that you're able to build muscle memory. Because in the surf, let's be honest, as a beginner surfer, we're really getting like 5 chances to stand up at a time, whereas in 5 minutes at home, you could do like 20 pop-ups. With, of course, a main focus on technique and making sure that you're doing it right. Try not to rush these movements. There's no point in building stamina and stuff at home. You just want to kind of get the technique down, so that when you go into the surf, you have no problems with popping up or doing turns, etc. So then to touch a little bit on the mental side of things, surfing is extremely exciting. It involves a ton of emotion. It's really one of the only sports where you're competing against yourself and against other people in an environment where there's a limited amount of opportunity and everybody's kind of competing for that same opportunity. You can imagine it like if everybody's playing soccer and there's no team, and there's only one ball that comes into play every 2 minutes, and everybody's like fighting to get that ball. So there is some sort of like level of hierarchy and a system where people are supposed to wait for waves. But at the end of the day, I like to compare it to a job interview. Everybody's out there to help themselves, and nobody's going to give you a chance to overtake them. So it's important to know that from a mental aspect, you are going to have to compete with other people to get waves. And there's many, many scenarios to help you understand how to compete in these specific instances. But that's another topic for another day that we'll get into in the future. For now, I just want to mostly touch on stuff like, how to deal with frustration, anxiety, and that sort of thing. Because surfing, again, it's super, super fun. But, when you have other people and external factors that you don't have any control over, it's easy to find yourself getting frustrated because you're not getting waves, or be anxious because there's this whole stigma in surfing that when you're a beginner, you're a kook, which is really a bad notion, and makes it very hard for other people to kind of get into surfing. It's a huge judgment, and all you need to know is that focus on yourself, focus on what you're doing, and don't worry about what other people think or what other people say, and just kind of be within your little bubble out there. Try to find areas of surf that have nobody else around, so that you can practice by yourself, so you don't have to worry with that feeling of being anxious that other people are judging you, or you know, other people catching waves because you know, all of that sort of thing. So it's just important to make sure that you can find some sort of sanity in amongst all the chaos, some sort of order in amongst all the chaos, because it can be quite chaotic. In terms of dealing with frustration, you know, as there are external factors, it can be quite difficult, but it's important for you to know that it's okay to be frustrated, and there are a couple ways to deal with it. Number one, you can use that frustration to your advantage. So, you know, just trying to keep yourself calm and use that frustration as more drive to do better, rather than using that frustration to complain and give up. So yeah, that's one way that can really help you. Dealing with fear and anxiety, you know, with fear specifically, if you educate yourself on all the factors that are involved, if you do breath work because you might be scared of drowning, you know, you can do breath work, and most people can hold their breath for at least 1:30 if they really try. So, you know, then you can start to rid that factor out completely. Dealing with the fear of other people, you know, maybe riding into you, well, in that case, it just takes time to get more control of what you're doing and have more control over each and every scenario. Plus, learning more about the different scenarios and understanding how the lineup works will help you overcome that fear of dealing with other people. So yeah, the best way to overcome fear is to educate yourself on the situation, and so you can have a better idea of rationalizing that fear. Another example of this is, like, you might be scared of sharks or, you know, just ocean predators. Then you can rationalize your fear by saying, oh yeah, but, you know, like, I'm scared of ocean predators, but the statistics of me driving to the beach versus getting eaten by a shark and having an accident on the way to the beach are much higher. Like, you're much more likely to have an accident in the car on the way to the beach as opposed to getting eaten by a shark in the surf. So, you know, just rationalizing your fears and making sure that you have a great understanding, and then that's the best way to try and overcome these fears that you might have about surfing, whether it's, again, ocean predators, drowning, other people, or even just being anxious because, you know, you're worried about other people's judgments. Everybody started at the same place that you're starting, so don't feel that it's quite ironic actually, because, you know, this notion of kook, and like, I hate the word because it's really derogatory, but and I really want to encourage you as a surfer to improve. So it's really interesting to me that because everybody starts in the same place, everybody was a beginner at some point. So it's really interesting to me that those people are so high up on their horse that now that they can look down at people who are still learning to surf. So yeah, just about that. And then also one of the biggest things is, you know, the fear of like getting in the way of other people. I would say the most important thing is to just educate yourself, like learn as much as you can about the sport, because what's not spoken about in surfing is how much theoretical information is involved. And yeah, that's what we're trying to teach here at the Independent Surfer. So if you're really interested in learning some more theoretical information that'll help you overcome all of these instances that give you fear or give you frustration, anxiety, even, you know, like how to overcome the physical challenges in surfing, you can check out our free version. It's on www.independentsurfer.com, and hopefully from there, you'll be interested in learning more and more about surfing. So yeah, I just want to touch on, you know, like how much information is not spoken about, because there's so much information that you can learn that can equip you to be able to progress much quicker. And I wish I knew all this information when I first started. I don't think there was really much out there, and I was also a kid, but now that you're older and it is the age of information, really utilize this information so that you can progress much quicker in surfing. So thanks for listening to me ramble for the last 15 minutes. I really hope that you found this interesting and that it helps you become a better surfer. There's not really any concrete information here. Eventually, after just, you know, submerging yourself in as much information as possible, you'll be able to come to a conclusion about how you will be able to overcome your fears and your anxiety, and how you'll be able to overcome surfing physically, because it is quite grueling and you're not used to lying down on your board paddling all the time. So, you know, it is something to get used to, and it takes time. Surfing is something that compounds itself. So like, you're not going to learn to surf. The first You know, the first year is going to be the most difficult part. But once you are able to overcome that, then it's really rewarding. You know, you can look back on where you've come to where you are now. The last thing that I want to touch on before I go is a big mistake that I see other surfers do is they compare themselves to other surfers. Surfing is a really selfish activity, and in that sense, you should keep it to yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. Everybody is on their own path with it, and it's really, really important to compare yourself to what you were yesterday so that you can help create positive affirmations about where you're going. I've seen a lot of people who get themselves down and feel bad about where they are with surfing and their progression because they're constantly looking at where other people are at. You don't know what those other people have put, or how much effort those other people have put into their surfing, and you don't know how long they've been surfing for this. So there's absolutely no reason for you to be looking at other people and comparing yourself to them. So when it comes to setting goals and stuff, you really need to feel like you're achieving something. And if you don't feel like you're achieving something, then it's just going to get you down. It's going to increase your frustration, increase your anxiety towards it, you know. So again, surfing is a lot about what's up here and how you feel with yourself, you know. Confidence is everything, and it starts with yourself. It starts with how you carry your board. It starts with how you dress yourself, you know, how you carry yourself. It starts with the positive affirmations that you're telling yourself before you go and surf, after you surf, when you go to bed, all of these things. So just focus on yourself, focus on your own progression, and I'm sure you'll do well. Make sure you are setting goals and make sure those goals are achievable. Don't set goals that are, you know, way up here, and you're not going to set a goal to do a 360 in the first week if you've just started surfing. You're just going to want to set a goal to stand up on the surfboard because it's quite difficult, especially if you're doing it by yourself. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate all of you that have sent such nice comments, and I'm going to continue to do these videos, but for now we'll just focus on a little bit on the beginner side, and I will still add more videos that relate to advanced and intermediate surfers. So don't fret if you've just watched this whole video and you're like, what the hell, where's all this information? Like, I want content, but yeah, it'll come. So thanks for watching, and until next time.